Hello, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing good. So for the next part of my series on the emotional stages you can expect to experience after going no contact with your narcs, I'll be covering guilt today. After the initial rage and anger stage, feelings of guilt and worry kick in, and you might feel like perhaps you're being a bit too harsh on your narcs by cutting them off. Trust me, you're not being harsh, and you have nothing to feel guilty about. Your brave choice to go no contact is probably the first thing you've ever done that's solely for your benefit and your benefit alone. You've made a stand. Your life decisions are no longer based on the whims of mentally disturbed adult babies. Those days are over. So why do you feel so guilty for advocating for yourself? Our decades of psychological conditioning at the hands of our abusers leads us to be the dutiful people pleasers, with a desperate need to fix every situation. We're compelled into this through the chronic low-grade guilt our narcs burdened us with. From childhood, we were the only real adult in the household, our tiny shoulders taking on the weight of the world. We're the polar opposite of the wildly immature cult members that we have the misfortune to call our parents and siblings, who take no ownership or responsibility for any negative aspect of their lives. It's always someone else's fault, usually ours. You feeling guilty and bad about going no contact, an act of self-preservation and self-care, in and of itself is a sign that you were raised in a toxic family dynamic. We were carefully trained to believe that doing anything that's not serving the many needs of our narcs is evil and selfish, especially if what we're doing is a positive for us. Leaving home, finding a love interest, getting an education, climbing the career ladder, anything that improves our lives and our happiness is a cardinal sin. That's why our narcs will go out of their way to sabotage us. Leaving home, you'll never make it, you can't take care of yourself. Finding love, that boy's just using you. You're being naive. You're probably just his side chick. Getting an education? You're too dumb to go to college. Everyone will laugh at you. Climbing the career ladder? Why on earth do you want to work in that industry? There's no money in artsy-fartsy bleeding heart nonsense. You should get a job that actually makes money. You guys know these slurs all too well, I'm sure. We were made to feel selfish for wanting a happier life. So naturally, doing the ultimate act of seeking a happier life, going no contact, fills us with guilt that we've committed the ultimate act of selfishness. Perhaps like me, you have aging narcs. Maybe you feel guilty about abandoning them, in inverted commas, at a vulnerable stage of their lives. You've been putting your narcs' needs before yours your entire life, begging to be loved, doing whatever it takes to get their approval, to no avail. You've already done your time as an unpaid cleaner, therapist, nurse, carer. They've had decades to treat you properly, to warrant your care in their old age, and they failed miserably. Narcs don't want us for who we are as a unique human being. They want us for what we do for them. We're an appliance that creates narc supply. They love us about as much as they love their toaster. Narcs are incapable of self-reflection, bulldozing their way through other people's lives with no regard to the destruction they leave in their wake. They live in the now, chasing their next hit of narc supply, with no reflection on their past, nor planning for the future to come. There's never going to be any mellowing with old age, or heartfelt deathbed apologies. There's nothing to be had but the same repetitive patterns of love bombing, devaluing and discarding that we've endured for decades. You went no contact because you're mature enough to recognize that in a dynamic where one side is incapable of change, you're the one who has to make the decision to change. You were in a one-sided relationship with these freaks, doing all the emotional heavy lifting with no reciprocation. Through your no contact, you've made it clear access to you is not an inherent right. It has to be earned through actions, not love-bomby words and future faking. Your narc's entitled attitude has been met with a slammed door. You are now boundaried, and they are not welcome. That guilt you're feeling is you self-reflecting, because you're a normal human being capable of insight. Do you think your narcs feel a shred of guilt for anything they've done to you over the years? Did they feel guilt when they launched their silent treatments that drove you into pits of despair? Do they feel guilty for causing the eating disorders, addiction issues, and other maladaptive coping mechanisms you might have turned to cope? Have they ever genuinely apologized for their actions? Of course not. Your narcs are facing the consequences of those actions. They're grown adults. They can take care of themselves. They are not your responsibility. And it's not your responsibility to sacrifice yourself by breaking no contact to make their lives easier. So don't you dare feel guilty for putting your well-being first and saving your life. And you are saving your life long term. You quit as scapegoat, and they know exactly why, deep down. So stand your ground and stay strong. So, with that, take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.